drugs, but I've always had friends who've dabbled in drugs and unfortunately lost their lives.
How many?
At least 4.
Still a lot now. 4. And how many? Like, how long did that? How long?
2 within 2 days of each other. 1 2 years before that, and then another one a year after.
And did they use together the 2 that died close?
The 2 that died close got their heroin from the same guy. So one died on a Saturday night, and the other one died like Tuesday.
But they didn't know each other. They didn't hang out. They didn't get high together.
No, but they both got high.
So what I really want to know is, because I was always on the other side of things. How did it feel watching them? How did it feel when you first heard their addicted? You know, like what was your exact emotion at that time?
I mean,
just when you heard it, not for their deaths or anything, just when you heard they were using it, your good friend was shooting shit like that.
I just kind of felt like that was just a thing that they did. It didn't bother me. I was like, okay, well, they do drugs, so okay, cool, whatever. I felt like a lot of my friends did drugs, so it was nothing new to me.
Did you witness them doing any disgusting shit to get money to get drugs?
Yeah. Definitely we've had experience, which I don't really like to talk. I mean, that part I don't like to talk about just because it brings in someone else. But I'll say the story anyway, whatever.
I appreciate that.
So, without saying any names, a friend of mine, his father passed away, and he had a Les Paul guitar, which was a pretty famous guitar.
Yeah.
You know, and it was given to them after he died, and so he kept it. And then this so-called friend went over his house one day to borrow it to play with it, which kind of no one was really into that. But we were like, all right, whatever. They let him hold it anyway, and he ended up selling it for heroin. So, and that caused a big fight. And I mean, pretty much they stopped talking after that.
Yeah.
And
you were like, what did you think? Did you ever want to have that person around your house ever?
Oh
again?
no, never. We kind of had. It was like a couple of us that didn't do anything, then others who did drugs, and once that kind of happened, it was just like, all right, well, we'll stay over here, and they'll stay over there and do whatever they do, and whatever happens, happens.
So they basically weren't even your friends?
Nah.
Just people you know?
People we knew, yeah. I mean, you don't want them to die or nothing, but at the same time, it's like the grown-ups, you know? I can't make them do it so much, so.
Password is a long-ass password. I'll just stay live online and record on that for YouTube.
That's kind of choice.
So, sorry guys, Derek had some technical difficulties going live, but we're staying on our live. So, alright, he was saying, you know, it sucks. So now, those are the things that happen. You got good people. This guy's a good man. He's an actor. You know, I know he's a modest guy about it, but he's an awesome stuntman. He's been on some really famous shows. He's been on The Walking Dead. This is a good guy. He doesn't use drugs. He's a good man. I started training him, and just after getting to know him, just wanted to become his friend. You know, these are the kind of people you're going to end up losing in your life, and they're not going to want to see you again. And that's it. Like, you live, you die, and they're just like, you don't wish anything bad to them, but they're not going to have you in their presence. You don't mix with that. And then you've had people like that die in your life. Have you had close friends, like people that you were still actively hanging out with?
Oh yeah,
that died?
One of the guys who died within the 2 days of each other, he kind of got clean and sober for like maybe 4 or 5 months, and we all started hanging out. And I guess the one day he called us and he was just like, yeah man, like I feel like I'm about to use or something, like can we all like hang out? And we were like, yeah sure man. So we went, grabbed him, picked him up, and we went to the bar and just kind of chilled and talked, and it kind of like kept him flat and just straight about everything. And he just told us how he's feeling. We were like, yeah, you know, we're glad you called us. And everything seemed cool. Like 3 or 4 days later, he had just got a new job, and he was with this girl for a while, and so everything was going good. And he's just like, oh, you know, I just got this new job. I think I'm gonna go out. And I just happened to be working, and 2 of my other friends, we all happened to be working at the same time. So he's just like, oh, I'm gonna go out and hang out with some people. ended up hanging out with like I guess an old friend.
Yeah, good friend.
Yeah, good friend. And so I guess to celebrate, he decided, okay, well, I'm gonna just do it one more time. It's just one time, and it's nothing. And the thing about it was, he did the same amount that he did after 6 months of being sober, and it was mixed with fentanyl. So as soon as he took it, he was gone. There was no like reviving him back. Even like the coroner said, yeah, as soon as he hit his body, he was done.
And with that trank that they're putting in now, the Narcan doesn't even hook up to it. So people are dying now with that trank.
Before trank, though.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm
this
saying.
is-
Now
yeah.
it's even worse.
And so he passed away, and we were all kind of like just messed up about it, just because it happened, and we felt like he was getting just super clean and was fixing his life. And then 2 days after that, another friend who we kind of didn't even know was using. I mean, he hit it really good because he never seemed all for anything. He just seemed like him.
Yeah.
And so once again, I get a call like 3 o'clock in the morning, like, hey man, like Charles died. And I was just like, what? I was like, what do you mean? And he was just like, yeah, man, he OD'd on heroin. And I was just like, since when? I was like, I didn't even know he was doing it.
And
He
what
goes,
year
"Yeah."
was this?
This is about like 8 years ago.
Okay. So this is when like fentanyl was just
Fentanyl was,
barely
like,
on the
just,
scene.
it was just coming out, yeah.
And it was getting sprinkled in, like some
Yeah, you only heard
dope
about it.
here
Like
and there.
I think no one really knew about it yet. It was just coming to be like a thing.
They were just using it as a cut here and
Yeah.
there.
And come to find out, I guess once the police traced it or whatever, it was from the same supplier. So it was the same guy. They both got it within a week's time of each other. So I guess that's when he died. In between, I guess he was using because Matt had just died, and so he was just like, oh, I'm just going to do it. And
Bro, what's it like losing a friend that you never had a clue was on drugs? Like you see people on drugs, we expect something bad to happen. We see people go off to war, we expect things like this to happen. What's it feel like when something just kicks you in the gut like that?
I mean, it sucks because like you just see like someone super young. Like I guess when my friend Matt passed, we were all like hurt over it because he was like a super talented guy, like
And
amazing guitarist, just like super good at everything he did. And then when I'll just say his name because I don't care now, Chuck, when he passed, just a super smart dude where he was like super book smart, like you could ask him anything, he would do anything. And I guess we were more taken by surprise by what the police had found, because once you die in your house or something like that, it becomes like a murder investigation. And so they went in his house, man, and I guess once they ripped apart his room, all the secrets just started coming out.
drugs.
Just bags everywhere. Like, so it's just like, this wasn't something new. It was something that was going on for a long time, but everyone that knew him never knew. Anyone close to him didn't know, so he was good at hiding it. Like, he was so good at things, like, he was a jokester too. He was in school, and I remember at his funeral, like, a bunch of people that he knew from school came, and he had this running joke that he had started when he first graduated high school, going into college. He made a picture with him and a Photoshop picture of another person that looked it was just him in another picture. He was telling people him and his twin brother always hang out and do the craziest stuff. So when at his funeral or his wake or whatever, one of the girls goes, "Hey, where's Chuck's brother at?" And we're like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "His twin brother." And we're like, "He doesn't have a twin." She goes, "No, he definitely has a twin." We're like, "Nah, he doesn't have a twin." And we got the joke. She showed us the picture, and we were like, "Oh my god!" He played everyone out and made them think that he had a twin,
Bro.
just for fun. It's
Think
shits and
about
giggles,
that,
like-
man. Somebody that can have that much of an impact where, even a joke that they make is lasting into times like that. Take it. And guys, keep in mind, he probably had no idea that girl and everybody would hear that joke and it would mean that much. I can see it in your eyes how much it meant to you when you started talking about that. So keep in mind, you're not going to know how much you always care to other people. You're not always going to know how much other people care about you. That's not always going to be the thing that they want to express, especially your brothers, you guys. But you got to know, man, you're important. Too important to be doing dumb shit like this. and just can't, like, you think them dudes started out doing dope? No, they started smoking weed, partying, drinking. Did any of them start doing dope or coke first?
It was
No.
more. It was
it was just a for fun thing, right?
just
in the beginning.
weed and pills.
Yeah, and it was just a
I feel
for
like
fun
it's-
thing in the
it's-
beginning, right?
The drinking is. It's the,
Oh,
the
just
rock
once
and
in a
roll
while,
life. That's
yeah.
all it was. Yeah.
Yeah, then it turns into all day,
They all
every
played
day.
in bands and just had fun. Had fun. So-
Yeah, that's it. Had fun. That's it. Dead now. Over some fun.
And it sucks because like it split everyone's families apart. Like
Yeah,
I
that's
know
what
with
we want.
Chuck, like his sister and mom don't talk anymore because apparently I guess she knew something.
Families falling apart.
Yeah. So they're like they have like she has grandchildren
Oh.
and she's never seen them because they just him and his sister were like super tight and because she knew some or because her mom knew some things about Chuck that kind of led into the drugs and never said anything. She felt like it's part of her fault. So now they're just cut all ties.
This is the trouble we cause, man. These are the things that we do to other people that we care about.
And then with like Matt, I guess because we were raising money for like two people just passed. Who don't have wills, who don't have money to be buried because they shouldn't be buried that young. We raised money for the first guy, first Matt, and come to find out, his parents were just like, we're gonna have like this wake for him, but we're not gonna invite any of his friends because they think everyone's part of his drug friends. Even though they've known us for years, but they think we're still a part of that when we're the ones that are not part of it. So they had their wake with him and whatever, and that was it. And then we come to find out one day, oh, you guys already had the funeral and the wake. Didn't invite anybody. So we were all pissed about, we raised money for this, and then you didn't give us our last chance to say goodbye. So we don't talk to them now. It's just
They were hurt.
cut ties. Yeah, I get it. You're hurting, but like, if you're hurting, don't take money from people.
Oh, they took the
they
money?
Took
Oh,
the
yeah.
money.
Oh, that's not
That's-
cool.
Yeah. Like everyone else raised money for this, and you didn't invite those people that raised money.
Now, if they were hurt to the point they didn't want nobody to come, they shouldn't have took the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should have been like, we don't want nothing to do with y'all.
You're from a little bit coast.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Here, what's your thing?
Don't worry about it. Just do it. It's too late now.
I think it's starting to be at least halfway through.
That was
Still
it.
cut him off in the middle of the story.
It's okay. It's always next
So
time.
that's it, man. That's just what you do, man. We can't hurt the ones we love like this. Listen, we want to hurt ourselves. We want to hurt ourselves. That's one thing. But you got to think about what you're doing to everybody else, man. If you don't feel like you're important enough, you got to feel like they're important enough. Something has to be bigger than that drug. Something has to be bigger than that addiction. And if it's not, or even if you say it is, but you continue to stick with it, obviously your actions are going to speak louder than your words.
Mayhem. It's all it causes is problems. Mayhem. Death. Destruction. We live a life of positivity, growing, trying to be the best we can be every day. And I did drugs for 17 years. I've been clean for 29 years now. And being on this side of the aisle is very, very, it's like, the possibilities are endless. If you have the ambition and the drive to want to better yourself and surround yourself with good people, like, all of us go to the gym, all of us,
We all know each other from the gym.
yeah, that's where it started. Then, we get to talking, and, that's how me and Mike met. I forgot how it came up, but we both found out that we used to do drugs and that we're clean now. And, it's just nothing but positivity. And my days are filled with positivity. Like, I don't know, I just love this life. And drugs are temporary. It's a lie, actually. It's like you make money to buy drugs so you can do more drugs, then you got to make more money. It's just a vicious cycle and a vicious cycle, and then your addiction gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's never enough money. And then when you do drugs, think about this, you do drugs and you don't want everybody knowing you're doing drugs, so you're living in a life where
Living a lie.
you're not really proud of what you're doing because it's like, it's basically embarrassing to let people know, like, oh, I'm doing this and that. You know what I mean? You try to hide it. So you basically live in a double life. And then what happens is it gets hard to hide, but you're so addicted and caught up that it just overtakes you, and then it's like it's not even fun. Once you get gripped into the addiction, and you're just an addict trying to like live and use, using to live, there is no more fun. It's just a vicious cycle
That
of
won't
ways
happen to
and
anybody.
means to get in more.
Everybody's different. That won't happen.
Well,
to me.
you know, I
That's
told
what everybody
myself that I'm not me. I'm stronger than that. It's mind over matter. All that good stuff. It's all lies, man. And it didn't get better for me until I just admitted, hey, I need help, man. This is too much. The hole is deep. I can't even see daylight. I gotta get up out of here. I gotta get humble. I gotta ask for help, man. This is not working. And like, you know, it's interesting listening to somebody share about his experience that doesn't know the depths of addiction, but are on the outside looking in at a person who's using. I remember at the very end of my addiction, I was working at the post office. I screwed that up. 8 years in the post office went down the drain because I couldn't stop using drugs, right? And I remember people used to look at me, and they used to have this concerned look on their face. I used to be like, what's wrong? I'm okay. Like,
Yeah.
they used to look at me like,
Yeah,
no,
I know that look.
you're not okay,
I know that
man.
look.
You're not okay. Like, what's wrong? You all right, man? You losing weight? No, man. I've been working out, man. I've been taking Taekwondo and like just lying and shit. You know what I mean? Like taking Taekwondo. Like, like no, you've been taking something, but it ain't Taekwondo. And it's just like, man, everybody knows. And like, what's so scary nowadays is like what he was explaining. The guy said, oh, I'm gonna get high one more time, and did that fentanyl is so deadly, and it doesn't take much.
It's getting worse now with the drink.
And even if you got off it and then you go back to it, that's even worse because now your tolerance is low. So the dose you were doing before that used to get you high, now that's a deadly dose because your body is clean and it can't handle all that. And it just there's no do-overs, there's no taking it back. It's like once you're dead, it's over. There's no second chances.
Well, I can tell you the cop, when they broke down the whole report, the cop said he took enough to kill an elephant.
Really?
So just imagine.
An
You know how big-
elephant?
you know how big an elephant is?
They're like what, thousands of pounds?
No, kill an elephant. Damn.
That's insanity.
That's not a lot of fentanyl. It's like that much.
Yeah.
That could kill an elephant?
Kill-
Bro, it's like a pinpoint. It's
Yeah.
enough. And you know, we got somebody here who knows a lot more about that right now. So I want to bring him on. All right. This is my boy Rob Evers. Rob, you're gonna have to try and kind of squeeze in between somebody.
Let me sit here and I'll
okay?
stand up behind you.
Yeah.
What's going on, Rob, by the way?
I'm Derek.
Pleasure to meet you, bro.
What's up?
What's
You
going
want
on?
to sit here? I'll just stand behind everybody.
What's up, Rob?
Yeah, Derek, sit down. I'll
Nice to meet
sit.
you.
I got it.
Take a seat. Switch your room here. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, you're gonna fit in there.
We'll grab my little order here.
So Rob is a former user. He is now working at Unity House and has been helping people get their lives together for a long time. Rob, we were just talking about Justin said that one of his friends took enough fentanyl to kill an elephant. About how much is that?
I mean, honestly, it ain't that much because it's
Yeah, exactly.
it's
We-
such a
that's it.
tiny amount. It's like the crazy thing is, I think now with like the drugs that we see, it's like just one of those things that it's not like say like my parents' generation where there was like certain types of substances that people, I'm not trying to minimize use, but you know, could have a level of like knowing what they got. You know what I mean? You
Yes.
have people that they go out and they use a quarter of a bag to half a bag, and they use the crazy thing, and they could OD. The crazy thing is though now is we're seeing people way more, you know, in my opinion, strung out. You know what I mean? Like certain things that they might need 5, 6 shots of Narcan to come back from an OD versus where like I'm not trying to minimize use, but there was a saying I heard years ago that like before, like back in the day, it was like, you know, you OD'd if you say were like drinking and doing opiates or like
Right,
taking
right.
benzos and doing opiates.
That's true.
Now,
Yeah.
you know, people might be first time users, they get a pressed pill and that's that.
It's
You know what I mean?
over.
And it's, you're seeing kids at like, 15, 16. I don't want to minimize like the experimentation period with substances, but they don't get a chance, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
to make it to their 20s, their 30s and stuff like that, you know.
Right.
I think the crazy thing with addiction and just where things are is,
How often are you hearing about stuff like that? Being in the industry, right? Unity Place, for everybody who doesn't know, is an outpatient facility for substance
where you
and
work?
mental health.
yeah, we
So
deal with
How
a
often are
lot
you
of-
just hearing about people under 18?
I think like the thing is like
Just on average.
for well, I mean, there's like a whole generation of kids that like before, like the number one like death of like young people is overdoses, whereas it used to be like certain types of, like car accidents, certain types of things like that. Like overdose is something that like our generation, it's something that took over in a way that like you see more and more people that they don't even get to be at a stage. I mean, if I had like a statistic, I'm bad with that, but if somebody wants to look at it, you could look at like SAMHSA.gov, like it has like the statistics there. But I mean, like one of the things that like I just know from working in the field, and we work with like adults, and most of our individuals, it's, I would say they're there on some type of mandated status, whether it's like, probation, parole, DCPMP, which in other states might be like DHS, like Department of Human Services, or Department of Youth and Families and stuff like that. But you're seeing a lot of people that, how can I put it? The stuff gets way worse, way quicker now in this generation.
Mhm.
Where I don't want to minimize like the thing, but like I don't know if anybody's heard the term like chipping, but that was a thing that people would be like, oh well, I don't really use like that. I use it here and there.
Right.
That type of stuff. I'm not saying it doesn't exist now, but it's like it's far more dangerous because of what the substances are. And the truth of the matter is, I work with a lot of gang members. I work with a lot of guys that are deep in the drug dealing lifestyle, because it's a whole sidebar explanation of how people sometimes get mandated to treatment and how the court system works. But long story short, there's some times where like the people that are selling you your drugs, they're not chemists. This Breaking Bad shit ain't really like that's a fucking TV show. That's not reality.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah,
people that
yeah.
no joke have like sometimes less than GED levels of education that are the ones that are like, oh well, I guess this is like good enough to like put out to the street, and then surprise, surprise, like it's just something that is not safe or in any way, shape, or form something that like when you go to a doctor. I actually had an argument with a friend of mine who's a cardiologist, and he said part of the thing with substances and drugs in general is there's this perception of because something has a medical use, that it's safe for somebody to use. You know what I mean? And the truth of the matter is, he's like, well, we have an anesthetist that goes to school for, additional, 8 years after an undergraduate degree. So it's like, this is a guy that looks at your height, your body weight, what your metabolic conditions are, and mixes a cocktail of substances to knock you out.
And people still die from that.
And when you get it from the streets, there ain't no calculations. There ain't no like, oh, well, you weigh this much, are you diabetic, or do you have this, or does this run in your family?
Right,
There's
right,
none of
right.
that.
Nobody cares.
It's just
All they want is money.
yeah. The hard thing is with substance use, most people are in denial of either how much they're using, how deep they've got into things initially, and there's a minimization of that it's even as bad as it is. I think one of the hardest things, and I say this all the time to people, when somebody's like deep in addiction, they're really lying to themselves. Somebody else just happens to be like, you know what I mean? And it's a dark place.
How long did you end up using before you quit?
I mean, it depends what you'd like qualify using, because I think there was periods where I wasn't aware, truthfully, of like how
Elaborate
things were
a little more
problematic.
and tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would say like most people, I experimented in my teenage years with substances, so I would probably say around maybe like 14 to 16, I was messing around with like, like most people, alcohol, marijuana, and people around me were getting into pills, so then, I'm experimenting with different types of painkillers at that time. Oxys were like the thing, you know what I mean? So, you know, stuff like that, stuff like, you know, Xanax, and that was when like it was real Xanax and not like pressed pills and all that stuff.
Yeah, none of them are real anymore.
No, it's and then you know, long story short, I would say that for me around probably 18 to like 22 was definitely like the darkest time, because that was when I was with other people that were really deep into using. So for me, it was like coke and dope, you know. And I shot, I shot for, you know, basically that period, and you know, overdoses, arrest, all that type of stuff. You know, getting into things that like
Kicking
all
dope
this
on the
stuff.
jailhouse floor.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. Like I always didn't mind, ironically,
And your
the
cellmates didn't beat the shit out of you.
I didn't like mind like the detoxes as much, because I liked the pain. I'm kind of like weird like
Sadistic?
that a little bit. But it's like I think honestly, like for me at those periods, pain was a teacher for stuff too. You know what I mean? Like most of the people that I knew that really struggled with like continuing to get out of that, it was something where they didn't go fully into like feeling that hurt, kind of going deeper into, well, why does this suck? Why do I not like this? What am I kind of going through? But like, you know, and through that period, like I also got out of like quote unquote the using time, but then I was still around all of this negative stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'll put it this way: for probably a span of, I would say about like 10 years, there wasn't many drugs I think I didn't try, experiment with, and then the worst thing I think was I slowly started to like really isolate from everything that I knew, everyone that I knew, and just all the dreams that I had, all the stuff that I wanted to kind of do, just never fucking happened.
If there was one
You know?
main reason why you felt like that, it's like, what was the worst? What was the biggest thing that made you want to use? And then what did you do outside of the self-reflection and stuff you just talked about? What are you doing to stay clean? And to get yourself out of that rut and to stay out of it?
I remember it was, it was after one of my overdoses, and I got out. I actually couldn't like walk, cause I don't know if it was rigor mortis, but like my leg, you know, when I fell, and this was like when the first wave of fentanyl came out. I OD with the needle in my arm, you know.
I
taken
know
to the
guys in
hospital.
wheelchairs like that now. 'Cause of
Yeah.
that.
And then, ironically, after I got out the hospital, the police came to my house and booked me, because when EMTs came back in the day, there weren't the same Good Samaritan laws. So I got booked. I got ROR'd, so I just like basically left, so it wasn't that big of a deal, you know what I mean? Like, but I got booked after I OD'd. I remember it was like that year there was like a blizzard, so like I go outside. I was a cigarette smoker at that time. I go outside to have my cigarette and coffee, and fucking cops pull up, and I'm like, where the fuck am I going? You know what I mean? Like, I ain't going nowhere. And you know, so they booked me. I go home, and you know, I got a younger brother, and my brother and me, like, we grew up like playing music together. He looked up to me, and when I came home, I just started looking aside, and I just broke down. You know what I mean? I cried. I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. You know what I mean? It was something that I realized. I'm like, I just don't want to hurt the people that I love and that like really care about me. And even if at that point in time I didn't give a shit about myself, I had to do something different. You know
Did you
what I
work
mean?
the 12 steps?
I actually wasn't a 12-step guy. I tried that, and I'll put it this way, like, unfortunately, and this is just my experience, most of the people that I had that were positive influences, there was like, talk about character defects, there's major character defects. You know what I mean? I would see guys that were preaching all these things about sobriety and 13 step in every young girl that came in the rooms. You know what I mean? I would see certain things. The people that I did actually like kind of bond with, the one kid who I remember, because at the time I was doing like, was kind of working as a flooring apprentice, and this kid that I used to work with, who I was really tight with, you know, he OD'd and died, and there was a lot of support in the rooms. It just, I don't know how to explain it. There was some things that I noticed that I just in my experience and some of the local meetings at the time, like it was not as supportive and it was like cliquey. And to me, it was like another version of, I don't want to say like high school, but I don't know how else to put it. You know what I mean? I
So
couldn't find
yeah,
my
so
network.
there's good meetings and bad meetings,
Yeah.
y'all. Don't think just because you found one that you're not good with that you're not going to find another good one, man. There's good people and bad people in rooms of every type.
Yeah.
Okay, and you gotta, unfortunately, you want to feel a part of the crew, because that's a big void that you're missing. You got
Here's
your
the
drums.
question, right? So before my homie died or whatever, and we used to ask him like why he did things and just yada yada yada. And the biggest thing I remember him telling us one day, we were just like, so do you feel like you just have that addiction disease? He goes, no. He goes, some people will tell you it's a disease, but he goes, I'm gonna tell you straight up because I'm not lying to myself. He goes, it's always been a choice. He goes, it's bullshit for anyone to say it's a disease. He was cancer disease. Because I've always made a choice. So like, do you guys think it's a choice or a disease?
I think it's a disease, you know why? Because of the way, think about it. There could be 10 of us in here. There's 4 of us. We could all do the same drugs, right? But you might just walk away from it. I get addicted and want to keep going back to it. So I think some people are addicts. And we suffer from the disease of addiction. We have a allergic reaction when we do the drug. That's what makes us addicts. We get hooked.
But I mean, do you think that like everyone has kind of like that addictive personality? Like I've always told my friends, they always ask me like, how come I never did drugs when everyone I hung out with was doing drugs? It was like me and maybe one other person. We all hung out.
Well, at first it's a choice because
And I'm just saying like, I've always told my friends like I probably have an addictive personality because whether it was like skateboarding or BMX or whatever, when I got into something, I was in it.
right.
Like I wanted to read about it all day. I wanted to watch it all day. I wanted to do it all day. So when it came to drugs, I kind of felt like if I could get into skateboarding like that, why can't I get into that like that? So I was, I'm just
I think because the things you got into were positive.
Well,
But I'm saying though, like I still, all my friends are doing it. Like there was guys I hung out with who I thought were the coolest guys ever. But when they did that, I was kind of like,
They weren't the same people.
I'm
were
not
they?
gonna mess with that because at the end I thought my dad was gonna fuck me up.
Did you
so.
see the change in them?
Oh yeah, drastically.
Yeah. Maybe that was enough for you.
It got to a point to where I was like, I can't hang out at this house anymore.
Maybe that was enough for you to say, look, that doesn't look attractive. That looks kind of dark. It looks ugly.
I think you can turn anybody into an addict. Drugs, and I think it starts out always as a choice, but it also ends as a choice. And you got to make the decision to stop.
Well, there's a
That's how
saying
I
we have.
stopped.
You get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're ready to do something different. Because like it sounds like you was in a hole, right? And you got to a point where you say, you know what, fuck this.
You got to stand up and take accountability and make the right choice.
And it's not fun. It's ugly. It's depressing. It's awful. I mean, when you're caught in the grips of addiction, it's awful. It's one of the worst things I ever did. I mean, I don't know if you ever experienced this. I remember towards the end of my run, and to be honest with you, I was I guess a functioning addict for many years, but like the last year and a half, 2 years, I was really going off the deep end where I lost my apartment. I was sleeping in my truck. Like I was like sleeping wherever I could. And I remember this one time I got paid, and I said, I'm only going to use this much, you know what I mean? Because I got stuff to do. And I knew deep down I was going to
We all do that.
spend all the money.
Yeah.
But I remember when all the money was gone, I felt this big, and I felt like, wow, man, I just don't have no control. Like, you know what I mean?
I feel like I'm an effing loser.
I was like, damn.
That's what I used to say to myself. Like, I'm an effing loser.
I remember one time I got a money order to pay a bill or something, and I spent all my money, so I had that money order, and I went back to the post office, and the dude at the post office, I gave him some excuse why I needed to get the money back for the money order, because whatever I said, and he looked at me like I was a piece of crap, and he did it, but he did it like you're on my nerves, you make me sick. It was almost like, here, get out of here, go use drugs. And I felt
Dude,
like,
I feel like that's how it is. I feel like when you don't use and you see someone that you care about or know into it, you get to that point where you're just like, you're a grown ass man, dude. Do what the fuck you want to do.
people get sick of you.
Yeah, you do. You kind of
People
get
get
sick of that
sick
person.
of you.
Even though deep down inside you want that person to recover from this shit and just go somewhere else with it,
Mhm.
and you're just like, all right, whatever. You've accepted. I think,
You got your own life.
yeah, I've gotten to a point, and I've talked to many of my other friends when we were the clean ones and everyone else was doing stuff just because we didn't do things. You be like, oh man, like, dude's never gonna get better. Like, I almost have it in my head, like, if he dies, it's okay. I've accepted that now.
Wow.
I've accepted that.
Yeah,
So-
because you saw where it was
just
going.
because I knew where it was
Because
going.
you couldn't change him.
It got so bad at one
Only
time.
try so many times.
Yeah, it's like when I felt like when his mom gave up, I was like, well, if his mom gave up, then
People
what's
get
the sense?
tired.
That's what I mean. I was like,
People
if she
get
gave up,
tired.
the one who gave birth to him, who am I to keep
You know why?
Who am I to
Because
keep
you
trying
know
to
what
keep
happens?
going?
The drug addict drags you down too.
Yeah.
You get caught up in their lies, your belief in them and your want for them and your love for them. You try your best and they take that and they manipulate you with your allegiance to them. So like, I remember a couple times going to my mom and I would say, yeah, mom, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I just need a couple hours, I'm gonna get it together, this and that. And she would give me money and be like, I'm giving you this money.
Yeah.
You better put it in your gas tank. You better do this. You better do that. I was like, yeah, mom, yeah. And then I actually remember in my mind leaving the house saying "sucker" about my own mother.
That's the thing though. It's like they would. It's like my homie would lie to us, and we'd be like, man, that's the worst lie I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like you thought you got away with it, but we.
I gotta
like,
tell you
damn,
this.
dude.
I gotta tell you this story real quick. I gotta tell you guys a story. My parents. I was living in Asbury Park. I was in the thick of it. It was to the point where it was everybody and their mother knew I was on drugs. I couldn't hide it no more. It was just like I'm a mess, this and that. And I was supposed to. My parents were going to North Carolina for a vacation. I was supposed to be coming there and taking care of the house and watching the mail and this and that. And I was supposed to do something. I forgot exactly what it was. And I got high with the money. And I was like, damn, I gotta call my mom, but I just couldn't call her. But it was like maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. I finally called, and I gave her this. I told her that I owed these dudes some money, and they saw me. They kidnapped me, and they just let me go down. And blah 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 blah. You know what my mother did? She laughed and said, "Can you just do me a favor? Can you just get the mail while we're gone?" Like, and I was just like, yeah, and hung up on me. I was just like, damn. I waited 3 or 4 hours to get the nerve to call her to
She
come
laughed
up with
at
this
you.
lie that I think she might go for, and she laughed at me. Like,
That's
you
how
s-
crazy
like,
you are when you're on drugs.
And I was like,
Calling your mom, telling
I
you got
thought
kidnapped.
4 hours of this lie that I thought this was going to be, the lie that she's going to believe. But when I think back on it, that's insane.
Dude, I gotta say, I was super happy. I was able to say to my mother, actually, a couple weeks ago, I said, isn't it nice to know nowadays, if I tell you I'm gonna pay you back on a certain day, you know you're getting the money on that day? It's not like, hey, I promise I'll do this, and just
That
not
money's
showing
gone.
up. Yeah, and
that
just
money's
knowing,
gone. It's never coming back.
knowing you have no way to actually pay it back or do this favor back.
Yeah, when you're on drugs, you're the opposite of dependable. You're just
Shitty.
nobody believes in you no more. It gets to the point.
And they shouldn't.
They really shouldn't. You prove to them that you're a mess. And anything. You know what they say to say? You know how you know when an addict's lying? And I just say how? Their mouth is moving. I'm like, damn.
You can be better. You don't have to be that shit, man. Just because you are today something, you don't have to be that tomorrow.
And rewind now. I used 17 years. I've been clean 29 years, and I've been a productive member of society. I'm a member of a church. I'm a member of a union. I go to the gym regularly. I got a lot of people that look up to me and talk to me. I'm a member of a yoga community.
You've been this guy for a long
And,
time. Didn't take that long.
I'm striving to still do more, and like I'm getting ready to become, take the training to become a hot yoga instructor. Like I was just talking to a bunch of us who's gonna take the class, and we're excited, and we're gonna practice. It's like, oh man, it's gonna be hard to learn the dialogue, but I'm ready to take that challenge because I got to get up in front of a class and say the dialogue. But I know I'm gonna do it because I'm up for the challenge, man. I'm trying to be a model at 58 years old. Like, I went and took photos for it and went to New York and went to a fashion thing, and I didn't get the answers I wanted because they said that I'm too built at my age. I'm unrelatable. So So
Dude, that's great.
my mother agent said, well, we're gonna just focus on fitness for you because that's your thing.
That's
And I'm
great.
like, hey, I didn't get the result I wanted, but I'm not gonna give up. I'm keep striving. I'm keep working hard, and you know, I believe I have a higher power that I believe in. I believe God sees my work. He just wants me to keep trying.
And you got all successful people here that got clean. 2 years to the day from my last overdose. 2 years to the day I had my first fight.
Congratulations.
I'm opening my own business. I
Mhm.
own my own business. I'm about to open up 2 more very successful. And this guy's never used drugs. He's a stunt man on on The Walking Dead, The
Wow.
Equalizer, all types of badass TV shows.
Nice.
This guy just ran down his laundry list of kick-ass achievements. Over here, you're working at rehabs. You're about to open up your own. Yo, you got successful
Positive.
business owners doing positive things. And all you had to do was cut the bullshit.
And it's not worth it. I mean, I feel like for instance, we're talking about how it feels to do a hot yoga class, right? And then how it feels afterwards. And it never gets easier. You're in 105 degrees, 40% humidity. Some days you feel super strong. Some days you don't feel as strong. Every day is different. And then when you do it and you face the hard, there's this thing I saw. I love this thing. I saw it on social media. It says life is hard. Choose your hard. Having diabetes is hard. Having high blood pressure is hard. Being too overweight is hard. Going to the gym is hard. You know, running is hard. This is hard. But guess what? When you do the positive hard things, there's a benefit.
Choose your hard.
Choose your hard. Life is hard. But guess what? When you go through it, there's a reward at the end. Like, you know what I mean? And for real, we got it easier than people than generations. They had to really bust their ass just to eat. You think about it. You had to go hunting just to eat. You know what I'm saying? You got to go kill some animal, cut them
Nah,
up.
You got the choice to be a vegetarian, pescatarian,
Now that's hard.
paleo.
Or you got to go through the winter and you gotta
You got to eat what you have to, what you can kill.
yes.
You know, hearing the stuff you guys are saying, it makes me think of like a thing. Hearing the things you guys are saying, it makes me think of the thing of like addiction is avoidance, and recovery is accountability.
Yes.
You know, like when somebody's actually like living a life, and I think the other thing is like the balance of it, because just like working
You're a
out,
coward,
right?
You're hiding.
If you know overexert yourself, well, you're going to gas yourself out, just like boxing, MMA, right? It's like if you're doing if you go out and you try to do too much, well, do you have a gas tank for that? One of the things that I think is hard in like different stages of recovery is you can go balls to the wall early. Just in my personal experience, the people that do that, it's hard to have the long-term recovery. You know what I mean? It's hard to do those things because I see it all the time of people like in the treatment world. We talk about like the pink cloud,
Yes.
and it's like everything's great when you first get clean and when you're
Yes.
at that low
I
point.
did that. I fell off that wave, man. I had it tough, man. I was like, what the fuck just happened? And my people were like, bro, this is life. It's not always going to be good. Keep in mind, you were riding a real high wave there, dude. You know, all this good shit happened to you in this real short period of time. You're starting to feel yourself for the first time again in 10 years. First time you ain't been
Still
on
listen to
opiates.
anything you do though.
Yeah.
Because even like
Yes,
I have
but
guys that
as a
are like,
drug
oh,
addict, we don't know these things because we haven't felt it.
it's like I have guys who go, man, like, how do I become a vegetarian? I'm like, listen, don't quit eating meat all at once. You're gonna in 2 weeks you'll be back to it.
Yeah.
I'm like, how many days you eat chicken a week? Oh, like 3 or 4 times. Cool. Eat it twice a week now. How many times do you eat red meat? And they're like, oh, I only eat it like maybe twice a week. All right, now eat it once a week. I'm like, you can't just go, I'm done with meat, because your body within a couple days you're like, fuck this, I'm done. I'm eating again.
Your brain
Like,
starts screaming
I'm
for
starving.
it.
It's just like literally like, for instance, alcohol detox, right? If you try to just stop drinking and you
die.
drinking,
You die.
you got a seizure, have DTs, then you're out. You know, same thing with benzos. There's certain things that it makes you feel like you're going to die. That's just that
Heroin.
that pain, but you'll be all right. I mean, you will, but you're going to feel sick as a dog. But that's the thing, is it's kind of finding that medium, because just like anything in life, I mean, the deeper you go, you're going to have to deal with people you don't want to deal with, have to have things that you don't want to do. I mean, I literally was late coming here because I'm doing laundry after we come back from the shore, and I fucking
So
thought
we're
I
not
lost my
saying
leg.
wean yourself
It's
off
like,
drugs.
Oh,
We're not saying wean yourself off drugs. Get the F into detox.
Yeah, you got to
But
take the right
take-
steps.
Your life at a pace on the way out. Don't just think you're going to dive into the world and become a superstar. It's going to take time to rebuild you. You've been breaking yourself and your body and mind and soul, breaking it down for years. Now
Yeah.
you have to take time to build back up. I promise you, it won't take as long as you've been using. Promise you that. But do the hard work.
Healing takes time.
Listen, driving 200 miles an hour, pretty cool, right? But the fucking cool thing about it is getting to 200 miles an hour. It's the journey to once you're at 200, you're pretty much just like, okay, you know, we're in the car going. It's about getting there. Ride that journey.
Enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Healing takes
Yeah.
time, but it's 100% worth it.
Life on life terms. Live life on life terms. The tough times actually make you stronger. That's when you grow the most. Yeah, so like it's good, man. I'm happy to be here, man. I'm happy to hear your story. I'm happy to hear your input, man.
Guys, thanks for coming. Definitely.
I invite this, you know what I mean, like to hear different perspectives. Everybody's has their own experiences. It just really shows that addiction affects everybody, family and friends, co-workers, everybody. That if you're on drugs, you affect everybody that's in your life. You just do. You can say, "Oh, I'm just destroying myself." No, you're destroying yourself, but you're hurting people, especially parents, man. My last night of using, I remember I was just sick of it, and I called my mom like it was like 1 in the morning. She came and got me like 2 in the morning, man. And it's just such a bad feeling when your mother has to come get you. You know what I mean? And you're like
Strung out.
You've been smoking
Been
crack
there.
all day and night,
Yeah.
and she's like, "What's wrong? Like, why?" You know what I mean? I'm like, "I don't know. I'm ready."
Yeah.
And then
Have that right a
knowing
couple
that
times.
they've heard this before, but you know, you just got to just
What was the change then? Being
To be-
you said
to be-
why so many times before.
You know what hit me that particular night? You know, I was around the cocaine era, so I got clean in '94. So we were smoking hard, smoking like a broke still. The people that I was around, smoking just like me, telling me I needed help. Right? This girl said, "Yo, you're a savage." I was like, "What?" She's like, "You just ripped that bag open," and I had got to the point where I made people uneasy. You know what I mean? Because I was just wilding out. And I said, you know what? And not only that, like in the drug game, it's very selfish. Like I remember, especially with crack, I would get paid, I'd be king for a day or two, and I would get people high, this and that. And then when I'm low, those same people would give me excuses. They wouldn't get me high, they wouldn't reciprocate. And I would take that so hard, like, damn, man, I just looked out for you and blah, blah, blah. And it made me started robbing people because I justified how they didn't look out for me, and I robbed other people, not even them. You know what I mean? Like, fuck this motherfucker. And I would rob drug dealers. Now I got them. I mean, it's just, and then I got sick and tired of the scumbags, even though I was one, that I had to be around. Because I had to go to these crack hotels
You
and do all
always
this
think we're
dirt.
better than the people
I
around.
had to be in these places because I couldn't go to regular places because I looked like a scumbag. So I had to be where I had to be, which was, and I wasn't supposed to be there. God created me. He gave me talents.
Here.
He gave me opportunities. I didn't come from a broken home. I had good parents. I had no excuse, none excuse to be where I was. I tried drugs, and this is where I ended up. But I said to myself, I'm out of here, and I meant it. And that girl, her name was Pumpkin. I'll never forget her. She said, "D, man, just go home." She said, "You're a savage." She's like, "You just ripped that bag open like a savage." I was like, "I did." She's like, "Yeah." It's all right. I'm gonna put it all in the pipe. I'm gonna take a hit. I'm gonna hand it to you, and I'm leaving. And that's what I did. And I never saw her again. But I'll never forget her because she was telling me I needed help, and she was telling me how like I am, but she's knows how to get high because she does this and you know, whatever, you know. But I just listened to how she was talking about me, and I agreed with her. Like I kept it on. She's talking to me about me, and I think she's right, even though she's smoking crack right with me. For some reason, her message got through to me.
I feel like
You
some
never know.
people,
It's
it
different with
does
everybody.
that.
She said it so matter of factly, like, damn, man, you're a savage. Man. Like, look at you. Like, everybody's like nervous when you're around because you're unpredictable. You're like, you know what I mean? You're like robbing people. You're stealing. You're just walking around. Like I was walking around barefooted in the city, like just tripping. I was just tripping. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I remember a homeless dude said that to me one time. He's like, bro, you're the only person who comes to Camden in a wife beater and flip flops.
I mean, I just was losing my mind, and I knew I was losing my mind, but I liked the fact that everybody thinks I'm crazy, so they won't mess with me. You know what I mean? And they didn't mess with me. I remember one time I went to this crack house, knocked on the door. They opened the door. They was like, "No, don't let them in." And I was like, "I got money." They were like, "No." I was like, "Damn, I got money. I got shit." They was like, "No." I was like, "Damn." They didn't want to let me in.
Your drug deal's worst nightmare.
Like, don't
You
let
got
him
one
in.
new drug and they
He's
were like,
got
"Nah, fuck
drugs
that."
and money, and
You
we
got
still don't want him
problems.
in here. I was just like, it just got to the point where I was a savage, man. And I felt myself turn into one too. You know what I mean?
You never know like who you're gonna affect or how you're gonna affect. Like, Rob, it was a conversation with his brother. You, it was just a conversation with another drug addict. Like, I don't know.
I never
Mine,
forget this girl.
it was, I had been telling myself for a long time I needed to stop, but just couldn't. And I finally just came to a head where I run out of money, run out of drugs, and I was just like, it's now or never. I was dying on a regular basis. I OD'd like 3 times within a few weeks. My body just couldn't take
what?
it anymore. Well, I was on the methadone clinic. I was shooting fentanyl and trank. I was buying them
Damn.
separately and mixing them on my own because I
Oh
just
my
didn't
God.
want to be awake. I never was a big fan of getting high. I just hated myself so much that I didn't want to be awake. And I was selling Xanax, so I was eating them by the handful, and they were pressed Xanax.
You were trying to die.
So they were super fucking strong. There were people who were Xanax addicts that wouldn't buy them. They were like, they're too damn strong, bro. I'm not buying them from you. I don't know what
Sounds
the fuck
like
Xanax
God
is."
had a better purpose for you.
Yeah.
Because you could have been dead
3
easily.
times.
That's
And the
weird.
cop said he never pumped so much Narcan in somebody and didn't see them come back to life.
See how you said like how you just like eating them pretty much like candy or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Like I feel like the first time I ever got like surgery or anything like that, and they gave me an Oxycontin. Like I took one, I was like, oh, this feels too good, and I just took everything and just dumped down the
Well,
toilet.
not me. I was like,
I
I,
was
like
just like,
this. I
how
can
could
do
be? I
more.
was like, I get why people like this, but I was like, nah, this is too much.
I wanted more.
And that's prescribed.
I
That's
know.
a prescription.
Well, my one friend, like
That's the difference. You don't want it, and I
he
do.
started off doing
That's
like
what they
perks
call
or
the
whatever.
disease of addiction.
And for some weird reason, and we always say his doctor is kind of the cause of it too. They prescribed him Suboxone to get off Percocet. But like, and then we started like reading up, and I'm like, yo, isn't that what they give people who do heroin to get off heroin?
Right.
Opiates.
But they're all opiates,
I
though.
guess I'm saying my homie was on Suboxone for 10 years, and I think
Right.
what it's supposed to be, like 6 months.
He was a
supposed to be on it.
customer.
Listen,
Yeah.
dude.
They didn't want him to
He was
stop using it.
prescribed like all the time.
Yo,
He was a
methadone and
customer.
Suboxone should be a 30-day protocol at most. Don't let them tell you anything else. Yo, we're looking at opening up 2 methadone and Suboxone detox centers coming soon to the South Jersey, Greater Philadelphia area. All right, everything is in the works as we speak. Keep up with Roundtable Wellness and Fit on my IG. I will keep you updated. And Recovery Roundtable, the after treatment plan will be launched as we launch those facilities. Keep up for it. It's coming. You don't need to be on that shit forever. It's killing you. It's the same drug. You're just paying the government now.
I would watch him take it, man. He was like only like half of it though. Like he
Dude.
was breaking it in half, and I'm like,
Crazy.
You don't need it.
I'm like, you can't. I'm like, if you could just see how we see right now, like
Right.
eating a cheeseburger, just like,
Too many people
I was
are
like,
wasting their
damn.
lives.
That's the funny thing though, is like with like, MAT, medically assisted treatment, just like you said, like it was never really designed to be this long-term thing. But just like a lot of things, and I'm not trying to like hate on the whole medical model of like, not just treatment, but health in general. Just like you're saying, if you actually know how to fix yourself, well then you don't need somebody. You know what I mean? It becomes this whole thing. Like me personally, I started getting into like the Ayurvedic path. So like, like different things with like a more holistic approach to health. But some of that, you don't need a doctor. Like I started nerding out on gardening and plants and like, growing my own food and trying to do certain things like with that because I noticed not just like addiction related stuff, but medical problems, whether it be stomach issues, whether it be like brain fog, like mental
Amazed
clarity.
how much being healthy clears up, man. The food and drugs are poisoning us in this country. Your antidepressants, loaded with heavy metals, poisoning your mind and body.
But
It's a
you know-
drug. Mind-altering chemical is a drug.
But you know what I think the hard thing is? It's like a risk-reward thing within anything in general, right? In other words, like some people, like, and it's funny, you saying like, you know, growing up like skating and trying to get Mexico, that was like my thing growing up, right? And I had injuries all the time, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I had so many like injuries one year that like when I was like a kid, my parents' health insurance dropped me because I like broke my wrist 3 times, cut my cast off, you know, had like 3 concussions that year, like messed up my knee, all that stuff, like to the point where like I knew that like I also needed to heal certain ways because like I just wasn't ever going to get better. That's why my arms were different lengths and all that shit because I just you know was like a dumbass and I was like, oh, I'll do whatever. But it's like I also recognized that like in any type of like illness I had, I needed to have an understanding of what was the risk reward. In other words, like you're going to do certain things to heal and that might come at a risk, but you might never move your arm this way or you might never have this capacity to get back. So it's like I tell everybody like in treatment from like a professional standpoint, like my path might not be your path, might not be the next person's path, might not be whoever's. At the same time, I want to inform somebody of what the risk and rewards are so that they can make the decision themselves. You
There's
know what I
3
mean?
people here who are all clean and successful. 3 out of the 4 of us, and we've all had different paths.
Mm-hmm.
So, listen, we've been at it for over an hour.
Really
Yeah.
nice.
So, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up, man. And this was episode what, 27. I think?
27, man.
Episode
Longest
27.
Like, follow,
Mike
share.
was on live. I couldn't get on live. I forgot to get into the get his
We
password.
never had to do that before, though. Have we?
Yeah, usually we do. Yeah, it's okay. We'll do it next week. I ain't worried about it. We're gonna post this on YouTube, and we'll be back next week. And tune in because you never know who we'll have, man. This was fun having extra people, man.
Big thanks to Justin and Rob, yo.
Yeah,
Thanks
man.
for being
Thanks
here,
a
guys.
lot, man.
Thanks for
Appreciate
sharing
you
the
guys.
show, man.
Come on.
This was definitely interesting, man.
All right, man. Fits in.
Yeah,
Close
man.
it up, y'all.
All right, episode 27. Peace out.
Later, guys.
All right.
Peace.